Okay, what a game we have this Sunday in Los Angeles. It's the 10-5 Houston Texans, who've won 7 straight games, heading into LA to play the Chargers, who are surging also with 4 straight wins. And a defensive head coach, Nico Collins, against an offensive head coach like Jim Harbaugh, anything goes. I can't wait for this one. This game preview is presented to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Holiday football has arrived. The regular season is wrapping up and the playoffs are on deck. And every single win matters more. With DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NFL, the unexpected can turn game day into payday. New customers bet just $5, and if you win, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Gruden. This Top of Mind is brought to you by Chevrolet. Football season is here, and whether you're grinding through the week or gearing up for kickoff, there's one truck that's always game ready, the Chevy Silverado. Built for the hustle, ready for the game. Silverado is America's most dependable full-size truck. Head to Chevy.com to learn more and build your own Chevy Silverado. Okay, a big game in Los Angeles. Playoff implications. Seeding is involved. This is a pressure game. And you have the 10-5 Houston Texans, the 11-4 Los Angeles Chargers. Both of these teams, even though it's cold outside, both of these teams are bringing the heat. Houston's won 7 straight, and the Chargers have won 4 straight. Hell's bells, Houston's won 10 out of 12 after starting 0-3. The Chargers started 3-0, had a little cold spell there, but guess what? They've won 4 straight, 7 out of their last 8. 2 excellent head coaches, former players. For the Houston Texans, it's Nico Collins, well known as a Houston Texan linebacker, former defensive coordinator of the 49ers. He's known for building defenses, and what a defense he has built. Number 1 in scoring, number 1 in total defense. I think they're number 1 in ass kickings, man. This is a really good defense that can rush the passer and has a very skilled secondary. And Jim Harbaugh, head coach of the LA Chargers, a former quarterback himself, he has put together his teams, whether it be in San Francisco or with the LA Chargers, with a vicious defense. Remember, Vic Fangio's defense in San Francisco. How about the defense his defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter, is putting out there right now? And his teams can always run the ball. This game looks like it might be a defensive struggle. Let's give both of these general managers a lot of credit. You know, the coaches, we get a lot of the credit, but these GMs, Joe Ortiz of the LA Chargers, they've had a lot of injuries, man, on their offensive line, at running back. And it's a credit to him and Coach Harbaugh for finding some pieces along the way to help this ship keep afloat. And Nick Caserio, the GM of the Houston Texans, man, he has hit the lottery with some of his draft picks. He's done a heck of a job. They even went undefeated for a stretch without their starting quarterback, C.J. Stroud. Both of these GMs deserve a lot of credit. You know, the Chargers suffered a very difficult loss a few weeks ago at Jacksonville. They got manhandled 35-6. And they had a bye week coming right after that defeat. And I think that bye week, it was a day of reckoning on the airplane on the way home. And Coach Harbaugh and his staff, they kind of redefined how they're going to go about the rest of the season. They did an excellent job, I think, emphasizing we got to win with great defense. That's number 1. Number 2, let's lean on our running game. Let's get some time of possession. Let's keep our defense fresh and off the field. And most importantly, we always can rely on that Justin Herbert magic when we need a big play. And we have the best kicker in the league in Cameron Dicker. If it gets close at the end of the game, our guy will put you away. But they've been very, very consistent with excellent defense, protecting the ball, running the rock, time of possession, and they get some magical plays from Herbert along the way, and Cameron Dicker is almost invincible as a kicker. And that's been their recipe for success. The Houston Texans just find ways to win. Last week against the Las Vegas Raiders, they win the game 23-21, but it wasn't real pretty. They get a pick 6 for a touchdown from Derek Stingley, but their offense struggles. They only get 3 field goals from their offense well into the 4th quarter, and they are forced to punt 3 and out on 4 straight possessions. They gave up a couple big plays to Ashton Genty, but they find a way to win at the end of the game. It's a credit to D'Amico Ryans and his staff. It's been almost 1 year since these two teams last met. It was the playoffs last year in Houston, and that was a decisive 32-12 win by the Houston Texans. And Justin Herbert, I'm sure you're going to hear about 4 interceptions that he threw against this Houston defense. He only threw 3 interceptions all last year. It's killing Malasek to hear this, but he threw 4 picks against Houston. And really, when you go back and look at the 4 picks, let's be honest. The first one, he throws a bomb on a bootleg to Quentin Johnston, and Lassiter makes one of the great catches of all time. I would have liked to have seen Quentin Johnston at least break that pass up. The second one, he was high. He threw a high ball to McConkey. It was picked off by Murray, run back for a touchdown. That one was on Herbert, but he was under pressure from Mario Edwards. The third one was a perfect pass. Will Dissly, the tight end, dropped it. It ricocheted off his hands and was picked off by Derek Stingley. What do you want the quarterback to do? And then the fourth one, they're down 32-12 with 10 minutes left in the game. He throws a sluggo route, a slant and go to DJ Chark, another 50-50 ball, and Derek Stingley went up and got it. I mean, hell, Derek Stingley looks like a wide receiver sometimes. But anyways, 4 picks, but just so you know, not all of them were really on Herbert. But you know, the Texans got after Herbert in the pocket. They sacked him 4 times. He was under pressure over 50% of the time on his drop back passes. And I want you to think about this too, Charger fans, because they had Slater at left tackle. They had Alt at right tackle. They had Johnson at left guard, Bozeman at center, and Sawyer played right guard. They had a full contingent of linemen. They're going to welcome the Houston Texans this year without Slater and without Alt. Oh, God. And really, the score wasn't truly indicative of the game. I mean, the Chargers scored on an 86-yard bomb to McConkey late in the game on 3rd and 26. Herbert jammed it in there into cover 2. 2 of the Texans had a chance to either intercept the pass or smash McConkey, but McConkey came out of there and went in there for a touchdown. Coaching decisions are going to be a big part of this game. Just like last year on 4th and 1 at the +18, D'Amico Ryans went for it. They handed the ball to Joe Mixon. He bounced outside. He scored a touchdown. So will you go for it? Will you kick the field goals? I think points are going to be at a premium in this game because both of these defenses are frothing at the mouth right now to see these offenses. I do like the Chargers receiving core a lot better this year than last year. They've added Keenan Allen. They've added Trey Harris. They've added Gadsden at tight end. They've got some guys now. Last year, hell, McConkey had 9 catches for 189 yards, including that lucky 85-yard touchdown pass. But Will Dissly had 2 for 16. DJ Chark had 1 for 10. Where was Quentin Johnston? He didn't catch any passes. They shut him out. So they're going to need to get some new receivers involved this year if they're going to win this football game. These 2 defenses have been outstanding this year, and I think it's going to be a struggle to get anything on the board. I think you might have to wake up the scorekeeper up there because I don't think there's going to be many points scored. When you look at this thing, the Charger defense only gives up 20 points a game. That's 8th in the league. And the Texan defense only gives up 16.6 points a game. That's 1st in the league. And both of these offenses are kind of middle of the road. Houston and the Chargers have struggled to put points on the board consistently. And when you put these 2 mediocre offenses up against these great defenses, it could get tough. I think one of the biggest stats I always looked at was quarterback rating against. When we won our Super Bowl, our quarterback rating for our defense against the opposing quarterbacks was by far the best in the league. And when you look at the Houston Texans right now, opposing quarterbacks are only at 74.1. That's outstanding. That's number 1 in the league. And the Chargers are at 74.5. That's 2nd in the league. These are the only 2 teams in the league that have as many interceptions as they've allowed touchdown passes. I mean, you look at Houston, they've only given up 17 touchdown passes and they've intercepted 17 themselves. And the Chargers are better than that. They've got 17 interceptions and have only allowed 14 touchdowns. Good luck throwing the ball and protecting your passer against these crowds. Both of these teams have great pass rushes. they're tied with 41 sacks. And hell, the Chargers offense has given up 51 sacks. Not good. And the Houston Texans offense has given up 31 sacks, and both of their offensive tackles got hurt late in that game against the Raiders. Some of the top pass rushers are in this game. 2 of them for Houston. Danielle Hunter has 13 sacks. Will Anderson has 11.5 sacks. And for the Chargers, one of my favorite players, one of the most versatile pass rushers who can rush inside or out, Tuli Tuipulotu. This guy has 13 sacks, over 50 pressures. He will get after your ass. And if you like slot corners, guys that play the nickel position, are you going to find anyone better than Derwin James of the LA Chargers? Probably not. Well, how about Jalen Petrie, number 5 of these Houston Texans? Badasses everywhere. I can't wait to see how these offenses try to attack them. Let's talk about the 2 quarterbacks real quick. C.J. Stroud and Justin Herbert. You might say they are 2 of the toughest guys that play the position. Stroud had a concussion. He missed 3 games. He's come back and he's 4-0 since. Justin Herbert, he breaks a hand a few weeks ago. He only misses a few plays. You can't say enough about Herbert's toughness, what he's putting on tape the last couple of years through all these injuries. You know, C.J. Stroud, his production has gone down statistic-wise in the last couple of years since his rookie year. Matter of fact, in 2023 as a rookie, he averaged 274 yards passing a game. Since that time, it's down to 219. And his yards per attempt have gone down each of the last 2 seasons as well. The biggest surprise is the lack of a vertical pass game from this Houston offense. In 2023, C.J. Stroud was one of the very best. He had 30 completions on passes thrown 20 yards or more in the air. That's 30, man. And he had 8 touchdown passes and completed almost 60% in 2023. But this year, it's been almost invisible. He's completing 28%. He's 30th in the league in QBR, pushing the ball down the field. The Texans are a quick passing game. You're going to see it Sunday. When he throws the ball under 2.5 seconds, that's when he's at his best. He is completing 75% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. But when Stroud holds the ball, the protection breaks down. They haven't got a lot of separation. His QBR goes way down, and he's thrown 6 interceptions when he holds the ball longer than 2.5 seconds. I think Justin Herbert should be a candidate for the MVP this year. What he has put on tape with 6 different starters at left tackle, 4 different starters at right tackle, 27 different offensive line combinations, receivers coming and going. His backs have been out of the lineup. Good God, he has done a hell of a job making some signature plays in critical moments that only the great quarterbacks that have played the game can make. You got to give Herbert credit. He finds a way to make some of the damnedest plays in clutch situations. He might be the best vertical passer in football this year. Last week, he crushed Dallas. 3 out of 5 on passes thrown 20 yards or more, 98 yards, a couple touchdowns. He was on fire. And this season, he's thrown 8 touchdown passes. You will see, I'll show you in a second, how he's getting some of these chunk plays down the field. The biggest concern with Herbert is the pass protection. He's been sacked a lot, 49 times himself. That's 8 more than he's ever been sacked in his career. And this number right here, 121, he has been hit 121 times, way more than any other quarterback. And that's got to really irritate Coach Harbaugh and Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator. The turnover battle is interesting. The Texans are as good as anyone in football. They're second in the league. They have a plus 15 turnover ratio. They've protected the ball, only giving it away 10 times. That's excellent by C.J. Stroud and his offense, but they have taken the ball away 25 times. There's some badasses back there, man. And the LA Chargers, they're 9th in the league. They are plus 3. They've turned the ball over a little bit more this year, 18 times, but this opportunistic defense has taken it away 21 times. And as I said earlier, both of these teams have 17 interceptions from their defense. Real quick, a look at the AFC playoff picture. When you look at the AFC West, Denver was feeling pretty nicey last week until they lost to Green Bay. All of a sudden, the Chargers understand this clearly. If we beat Houston on Sunday and then we go to Denver next week and beat the Broncos, we win the West and we get a home game. And that's legit. The Denver Broncos, they are playing at Kansas City. Obviously, the Chiefs are playing their third-string quarterback, and then they will meet the Chargers next week in Denver. So the Houston Texans, they have the Chargers in LA, then they play the Indianapolis Colts at home. They got to win both of those games and hope the Jaguars lose one of their games. They're playing at Indy on Sunday, and they host the Tennessee Titans to end the season. Some really great kickers in this game, too, in perfect conditions. This Fairbairn guy for the Houston Texans, you see what he did to my Raiders last week? 2 bombs of over 50 and a 49-yarder. Fairbairn has 1,005 points now in his career. He's the first Houston Texan to score over 1,000 points. Congratulations to you. And this guy is 36 out of 40 on field goals, 8 for 12 from beyond 50. And Cameron Dicker, I got a rhyme for you. Cameron Dicker's the best kicker. I thought of that myself. Holy shit, this guy's 36 out of 38. When you look at statistics in the all-time record books, here is the #1 most accurate kicker in the world. 33 for 33 on PATs, 5 out of 6 from distance. Great kickers capable of icing you. And finally, the injuries. Remember, it's early in the week here, but I would do a lot of work if I was you to see who's up and who's out. The Chargers lost starting left corner Dante Jackson. He leads the team with 4 picks. He's been a great free agent pickup. Then Benjamin St. Juice, his backup, comes in and gets hurt. I don't know if either one of these guys will be available against the Houston Texans. They're also missing Kamani Vidal. I don't think he's going to play. He has a neck injury. Man, he's done a great job. Wouldn't you know it? As soon as Marion Hampton comes back, Vidal goes out. It's been like a revolving door. Left tackle Jamari Sawyer. He played 5 snaps last week against Dallas, and he gets hurt. Good God. Now another left tackle, I believe, is out. Trey Harris, an emerging wide receiver, hurt his finger. Keep an eye on that. Denzel Perryman, starting inside linebacker, was suspended by the NFL for an illegal hit. He won't play the rest of the season. And then you look at Elijah Molden, safety man, has a hamstring. These are legitimate concerns for the LA Chargers as they host the Houston Texans. And how about the Texans? Both of their tackles, left tackle Ursary, he left the game, and then right tackle Trent Brown left the game with an ankle. Both of your starting tackles, we don't know. Running back Woody Marks was inactive the last couple of weeks with an ankle. He's an excellent receiver out of the backfield. We don't know his status. And Al-Shaair, their leading tackler at linebacker, #0. He did not play against the Raiders. They got to get him back. Ashton Genty proved that a week ago. And Derek Stingley, superstar corner, has an oblique strain. All of these men are questionable right now, so I would keep a good eye on the injury report. Let's get into this. Okay, this Houston offense is led by first-year coordinator Nick Caley, and he's going to go up against the Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter, who's done a hell of a job with this Charger defense. The numbers behind the Texans: 18th in scoring, 19th in total, just 23rd running the ball, 16th throwing it. The best thing the Texans have done on offense is they do have a lot of possession time, 32 minutes and change. That puts them in the top 6 in the NFL. And that keeps their defense fresh. The lack of turnovers, just 10 of them. They don't put this defense in a bad position. They make the opposition go a long way. And that's been one of the best things this Houston offense has done. I thought last week against the Raiders they really struggled. C.J. Stroud came out. He was wild early. He missed some throws. I thought he missed a couple decisions, too. He was too aggressive at times. And they had 4 3-and-outs. They had one series where they lost yards on first down, second down, third down, and you can't help but, boo! What the hell was going on? I don't know. This offense has struggled to score most of the year. 24 points or less 10 times. and the Texans are 5-5 in those 10 games. I think if they're going to be legitimate Super Bowl contenders, they're going to have to pick it up a little bit on offense, throwing it, running it, and protecting the passer. I already talked about their great field goal kicker. He's 36 out of 40. What resonated with me is 40. You've attempted 40 field goals in 15 games? The hell's wrong with our red zone offense? The Texans are 31st right now in scoring touchdowns from a percentage standpoint. They're only scoring 45% of the time in terms of touchdowns in the red zones. They have got to finish drives a lot better. It's been a struggle on third down. They have a rookie left tackle, Ursery, especially early in the season. He gave up some sacks. They fell behind in the down and distance. They haven't had a reliable running game. They've been faced with a lot of third and longs, and they punted the ball 64 times, which is fourth most in the league. So the place kicker and the punter, they should get first-class tickets and king-size beds because they're using these guys a lot. The Texans are in 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, and 3 receivers almost every play in the game. 75% of the time, close to, which is second highest in the NFL. And when you play 11 personnel, that means you're going to get a nickel defense from your opponent. And I think the Chargers' nickel defense is a group I really wouldn't want to face very often because you got Mack and you got Thule playing on the edge. And they have Odafe coming off the edge. They got 3 heaters coming off the corner every time they're in nickel. The run game has been a problem consistently this season. They lost Joe Mixon, their great back from a year ago. He hasn't appeared one time this year. So they've gone with Nick Chubb. They replaced him with Woody Marks. Woody Marks got hurt. They ended up using a kid off their practice squad last week, Jawar Jordan, who had over 100 yards 2 weeks ago against Arizona, but was held to 53 yards against the Raiders. They've used 3 different feature backs this year, and the statistics don't lie. They're 23rd in the league running the football, 106 yards a game, but nothing happens. They're 28th with just 3.9 yards per carry. They need some big runs. They got to get this running game going down the stretch, especially if they got to play some outdoor cold weather games. One of the biggest concerns with the Texan running game is the amount of stuffs. I mean, when you look at it, 19% of the running plays they call gain 0 yards or lose yards. Boy, that would tick me off. And when you look at the Charger defense, think about this at home. They create a stuff on 19% of the time. So that's not a good thought, is it? Handing the ball off to some guy getting his ass kicked for no gain or negative yards. They got to do a better job at the point of attack, and they got to cram some of these runs in there for positive yards instead of losing yards. Nico Collins is the #1 threat for the Houston Texans. He wears number 12. Nico Collins is a guy they like to isolate on the backside of trips formations or bunch formations. They try to force defenses to rotate to the 3 receiver side, and they try to get Nico some one-on-ones on the backside. They got in trouble last week against the Raiders. Who'd they go to, Jake? Nico Collins, man. 3rd and 20, he generates a PI call, and he makes one of the greatest catches on the sidelines that you will see. For a big guy running at full speed, he has the ability to control that body, and he walks the chalk, man, as good as anybody in football. Last year against the Charger defense, Nico Collins went off. He had 122 yards receiving, and a lot of that was on inside breaking routes against all this Charger zone. Let's take a look at this Charger defense led by Jesse Minter. This is a team that blitzes the least amount in the NFL, only 19% of the time. They do a great job of mixing different zone coverages with great disguises. And they have some really outstanding ball-hawking zone defenders that can read the quarterback. Against Dallas last week, it was a little bit surprising. I think the Cowboys are one of the top offenses in football. In the first half, Dallas had 17 points, 12 first downs, 211 yards. And I'm like, whoa, is this the Chargers defense? Dallas did a nice job with some creative runs, and Dak made some good plays down the field with George Pickens. But the one thing you always notice about the Chargers is you can always see Coach Minter over there with his players looking at these iPads. I don't even have an iPad myself, but they make great adjustments. And they came out in the second half, got some critical 4th down stops, and they really turned the heat up on the Cowboys and won that game 34-17. You know, this Jesse Minter, his defense has always been very proactive against no-back sets. I call it empty. There are no backs. And against the Philadelphia Eagles, I know they intercepted Jalen Hurts 4 times, but when you line up in a no-back set, a lot of sophisticated defenses have an automatic blitz check. And that's just what they did to Jalen Hurts. They showed a blitz with Troy Dye, and they tried to get the center to go that way to pick up the blitz. And on the snap of the ball, here comes Henley off the weak side. He's clean. Nobody blocked him. And they dropped number 91. They dropped number 91, Deshaun Hand, in the area where Troy Dye blitzed. And guess what Hurts did? He throws a hot ball in here to his friend A.J. Brown, and Deshaun Hand intercepts the ball, a 320-pound defensive tackle. That'll tick you off. So when you see somebody come out in a no-back set against the Chargers, just watch the linebackers and the safeties making all these hand signals. They really do a great job of breaking down your protection, and they have big defensive linemen running to the junction of where they think the hot receiver is going to be. It's pretty awesome. I think it's really cool because Jesse Minter, Jim Harbaugh, they utilize their entire roster. They substitute a lot. They've got 3 or 4 guys they use inside. They've got 4 different edge rushers. Hell, they even rotate corners. I mean, that'll be interesting to see if Dante Jackson is not healthy or Benjamin St-Juste is not healthy. Can they roll corners? Somebody's going to have to step up and play the entire game. That'll be interesting to see how that works out. But the Chargers have a base defense. It's a 3-4 defense with a nose tackle, 2 defensive ends, and you see Thule and you see Khalil Mack as the outside linebackers with 2 bubble linebackers. They won't play much of that base defense because Houston's going to be in 11 personnel 90% of the freaking time. So you're going to see a lot of nickel. And when the Chargers play nickel, you'll see Thule and Khalil be the defensive ends. You'll see Tartan Hand playing inside. But the nickel is the one and only Derwin James. That's why I call it Big Nickel. He is the slot corner, and they'll have 2 safeties on the back end. Then they'll get into a dime defense, and they'll put Derwin James at linebacker with another single backer, and they'll have 6 defensive backs out there with James playing at linebacker. But here's where the rubber meets the road. If they get you to 3rd down, they go to their NASCAR package. They use 3 defensive ends, and they put Thule inside over the guard. Owe comes to play one end, and Khalil Mack is the other end. Usually it's Hand inside. They get 3 pass rushers on the field. They get after your ass. They've done it 69 times. NASCAR. They get to it on 3rd down, and they've got 13 sacks from this NASCAR group. And they've also got a 54% pressure rate because me and Jake sat here and watched all 69 of them. So look for 3rd down. 45 goes inside with 98 Owe, 52 Mack on the edge. And what makes it great is these guys are professionals. They're unselfish. They sacrifice for one another. Every once in a while, they'll run some pick stunts, and Thule will pick the tackle, and here comes Odafe inside. They power rush, 2-gap somebody to free another rusher. They really work well together, and they play their ass off. They love 3rd down, and this is where Houston's got to be really, really careful against this NASCAR package. The other thing you notice from a tendency standpoint is in the first 11 games, Jesse Minter and his coaching staff, they played man-to-man on 3rd down only about 24% of the time. Now, after the bye, guess what? They're playing 48% man. And when you're a play caller and you call a play designed to beat a zone coverage and they play man, boy, it pisses you off. It's hard to be right against Minter right now. He's spinning a dial. He's got a great pass rush. And you really got to do a good job in the pre-snap trying to recognize man or zone. I wouldn't be surprised if C.J. Stroud has to audible a couple times to try to get into a better play selection. Let's take a look at the matchups. This offensive line for the Houston Texans, keep an eye on their rookie left tackle, Ursery, number 79. He's done a heck of a job improving throughout the season. He is 2nd in the NFL. He's given up 43 pressures. PFF, Pro Football Focus, says he's responsible for 8 sacks, but only 1 in the last 5 games. 79 Ursary or Blake Fisher will be the left tackle if Ursary isn't ready to go. And if they got to go up against Tui Pelotu, good luck. Good luck indeed, because this guy has a power rush. He has a beautiful spin rush. He's very active. He's very, very good with his hands. You know, Tuli was a second-round pick in 2023. He's got 13 sacks in his first 2 seasons. This year he's got 13 and 53 pressures. Got to keep an eye on him. The left guard is Titus Howard, and the center is Jake Andrews, number 60. Ed Ingram, 69, the ex-Minnesota Viking, is at right guard, and Trent Brown has become the starting right tackle. Hell, we signed Trent Brown with the Raiders. You know why we signed him? Ask me, Jake. Why? Because I saw him when he played for the Patriots. He was blocking Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack of the Chargers in an AFC playoff game. I said, hey, let's get that guy. I'm glad we did, too. Anyways, Trent Brown could be out. If Trent Brown is out, the Texans are going to do what they did last week in that game against the Raiders. They moved Titus Howard from left guard to right tackle, and they put in Jarrett Patterson at left guard. That is troublesome for the Texans. Howard, I think, is their best overall lineman. He's played right tackle, right guard, and left guard. You talk about an unselfish professional badass. I do know this. They want Howard at guard, and they want Brown at tackle. Both of these tackles are hurt. That's scary against the Chargers. Khalil Mack, number 52, man, has he been good for a long time. A lot of people in football think I didn't want to re-sign him. Now, I'm dumb, but I ain't that stupid. You can ask Khalil Mack. He never returned my call. That's for another story. This guy, Khalil Mack, he hurts his elbow. I think it's week 7. He's out of the lineup for a while. He comes back. He's got 5.5 sacks. He still chases. He's still relentless, very crafty. And at the end of the day, he can run right through you. This guy has a tremendous power rush. He still has the speed to get the corner. And when he gets tired, don't forget, the Baltimore Ravens, remember, Jim Harbaugh's brother, John, traded Odafe Owe to the Chargers. Owe had 10.5 sacks as a Raven last year. He comes to the Chargers with 0 sacks in October. He wears number 98. Guess what? He has 7 sacks. He's playing out his 5th-year option. The guy's going to get paid. He's done a hell of a job coming in here, especially in this NASCAR package when he and Mack are on the edges and Tuli goes inside. Good God, this guy can really run, man. A very fast former #1 pick out of Penn State. That's 3 magnificent edge rushers, and I hear Bud Dupree is coming back. Number 48, another former first-round pick out of Kentucky. That gives Los Angeles 4 good edge rushers. Inside, you'll see Caldwell, number 99, the rookie. He's their nose tackle in their base defense. But they have 4 guys they rotate in here that have all played about 50% of the time. The guy I love watching is Hand, number 91. He plays 53% of the plays. He's got 24 tackles, a sack and a half. He even went there and picked off Jalen Hurts. Boy, that would have ticked me off if you did that to me, Hand. The other defensive tackle that's really good is Tart, number 90. He plays 48% of the snaps. He's got 28 tackles. Not a lot of pass rush, but he can push the pocket. The guy that really flashes the most to me is this young guy, number 92, Justin Eboigbe. Hey, this guy here's got 4 sacks, 29 tackles. He plays 41% of the plays. So you see it, 4 different guys, all with size and athleticism. But when 92 gets in the game, he's a better inside rusher than the rest of them. Let's take a look at the matchups on the outside. We've already talked about the issue at left corner, who lines up on the right side of the offense. Dante Jackson, 2018 second-round pick of the Panthers, was out in Pittsburgh, under the radar free agent. This kid has played very well. 4 interceptions for the LA Chargers. His QBR against them is 43.0. I mean, this is one of the top corners right now in football. But he's hurt. He came out of that game, did not return. I worry about Dante Jackson this week if I'm a Charger fan. And his backup, Benjamin St. Juste, the former Washington Commander, big corner with great length. He got hurt in the game. He did not return. So I don't know what's going to happen at left corner. Will they move Tarheeb Still, the ex-Maryland Terrapin, outside and let him play? That's what I expect to happen. Number 29, who's also played right corner and has come inside in the slot, but still might have to play a lot at left corner. And whoever lines up over there, we got to make sure we're looking for number 12, Nico Collins, and get some help that way or lean a safety over the top because Nico is the guy they're looking for. The other corner for the Chargers is number 20, Cam Hart. Good player. He got beat a couple times last week against the Cowboys. He wears number 20. He's got 42 tackles and an interception. He's only played about 60% of the snaps, 64%. As I said, Jesse Minter loves to rotate his corners to keep them all fresh, keep them all competing with one another. That'll be interesting to see if his workload doesn't increase as well. Derwin James will be in the slot. He is a prototype badass. Every time I see Derwin James, I have memories that aren't very good. This kid can really play. 86 tackles, second on the team. He's got 2 tackles coming off the edge. He's forced a fumble. And his QBR against him is under 45%. I mean, you get in here and run all these slot routes. He has the quickness to cover those types of receivers. He has the speed to turn and run with you deep. He can bang around with any tight end. He's a great down-to-down competitor. So the Chargers, injuries at left corner. Will Cam Hart's playtime turn up a notch? A very good nickel. Nico Collins is the man now for Houston. And I'm sure the Chargers are going to have a specific plan for him. He hurt him last year for 122 yards on inside breaking routes. He does an excellent job on the red line fades. This guy's good after the catch, good playing stamina. Let's hope the officials let him play because this guy's going to be involved in a lot of the action. The other receivers for the Houston Texans are a little bit mysterious. Collins has been targeted 57 times more than the next available wideout. But the next 2 are slot receiver Christian Kirk. He's been in the slot. He has 45 targets. Doesn't have a lot of production. He is quick, runs a lot of choice routes, possession type receiver. And the other receiver will be Xavier Hutchinson, number 19. Big receiver, 28 catches, 320 yards. And the rookie, Jaden Higgins from Iowa State, has 37 catches, 614 yards. Jaden Higgins wears 81. I think his stock is on the rise. But the Chargers are going to roll weak, roll strong, play split safety coverages. They got some great red zone mystery coverages that are hard to define. And these Chargers are really good playing zone defense. The tight end for the Texans is Dalton Schultz. Remember, one of the reasons I think the Houston offense struggles a little bit is Schultz is not your prototype tight end to block the C-gap. He's a receiving tight end, and what a receiver he is. 75 catches, 685 yards. He even caught a touchdown last week, the 3rd of the season. What play was it, Jake? Spider 3-Y banana, man. But Dalton Schultz, he is a productive receiver, struggles in pass protection and struggles as a blocker. Cade Stover, the ex-Ohio State Buckeye, and Harrison Bryant, those are the other 2 tight ends you will see just a little bit in this game. But the safeties for the LA Chargers, they've had a revolving door back here to a degree. Tony Jefferson, number 23, the ex-Baltimore Raven. What a story he is. Out of football, back to football, and he plays his ass off. He is a very physical presence in the middle of this defense and a great communicator. The other safety, I expected to be number 2, Elijah Molden. Although Molden is questionable, so is his backup, R.J. Mickens. Mickens, number 27, has 2 interceptions. Molden is a more productive down-to-down safety, but both of them are injured. You might even see the ex-New Orleans Saint, number 31, Marcus Williams. So you do worry a little bit about the middle of the Charger defense. A lot of moving parts at safety, and don't forget, Denzel Perryman, their middle linebacker, number 6, 4th leading tackler, is out. He's suspended. So he's going to be replaced by Troy Dye, number 43, out of Oregon. Dye's a good player. He replaced Perryman earlier this year when Perryman had that ankle. But Dye can play in passing situations. He's got over 50 tackles. He knows this defense like the back of his hand. And their best player, I think, other than Derwin James, is Henley, number 0. They moved him outside after the bye. I'm like, where the hell's Henley? He's over here on the outside raising hell. He's great in space. He's their leading tackler. You will not miss Henley. He's got over 90 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 2 picks, and a partridge in a pear tree, man. This guy can fly. He can really roll. So he and Dye will have to get after whoever the tailback of the Texans is. Remember, Woody Marks, he's been out the last couple weeks, and what they missed the most in Woody Marks is his pass receiving, man, and his speed. 21 catches he had, but Woody Marks only averaging 3.5 yards a carry. Nick Chubb, he made a great run against the Raiders last week. He ran through about 3 tackles. I would love to see, with the money on the table, I would love to see Nick Chubb over Jawar Jordan in a big game. Chubb has had a good year, 121 carries, 505, 4.2 average. I just think in the big moments, you got to go to a big-time experienced cat like Chubb. I'm looking for Chubb in this game to play a big role. The Houston Texans, remember, the best thing they do is take care of the football. They got to do a great job protecting in obvious passing situations against this NASCAR defense. Let's see what happens. It's going to be a fist fight. Okay, this Charger offense led by offensive coordinator Greg Roman, who's been with Coach Harbaugh a long time, was with him at Stanford, was with him at the 49ers. He and Coach Harbaugh do a great job on a weekly basis. And they're going to go up against Matt Burke, defensive coordinator of the Houston Texans. He and head coach D'Amico Ryans have put together the #1 scoring defense, the #1 total defense. This is going to be a hell of a challenge for the Chargers. This is a ball control offense with Greg Roman and Coach Harbaugh. 33-plus minutes a game of time of possession. That's #1 in the NFL. Look at the last 4 games after the bye week when they kind of rekindled their thoughts and reinvented their team. 35 minutes and 48 seconds. 38:05. Man, 34-42 and 34-27. Hell, that's one of the reasons why you got a hell of a defense, because they don't play. This team does a very good job with time of possession. I think they're coming off their best offensive performance last week against the Cowboys. Yeah, Herbert threw for 300 yards, but they had 452 total yards, 34 points, and it's the first time all year no sacks. I bet Justin Herbert flew home feeling nicey, man. Since the bye week, the Chargers are running the ball 55% of the time, clearly #1 in the NFL. That coincides with Justin Herbert breaking his hand and the return of their first-round running back, Omarion Hampton. And obviously they're missing their starting offensive tackle. So there's a big reason why the Chargers have kind of come back to a run-it mentality. They're using a lot of jumbo personnel. What is jumbo? Well, they use a tight end that's an offensive tackle. They bring in number 64, Trevor Penning. He's a former first-round pick of the Saints. They bring him in to play tight end to give him more girth in the running game, to get him a little more consistency on these play-action passes. They used jumbo personnel 15 times, I think, last week against Dallas, over 10 snaps a game the last 3 weeks. So obviously the Chargers are going to go jumbo. What will that do to the Texans? Last year, when the Chargers came out jumbo in the playoff game, the Texans came out with 5 defensive linemen and got a sack. Can you believe that, Jake? Does that piss you off? Yes, it does. Coach Roman always has numerous personnel groupings. Yes, he'll use 11 personnel, 1 back and 1 tight end. There's going to be jumbo personnel. There's also 17 snaps last week with no tight ends. You don't know what's coming out of the box with Coach Harbaugh, Coach Roman, and this Charger offense. You got to be ready for everything because they'll have shifts, crazy motions, different tempos. they do a really good job making it interesting and making it exciting. When I say ball control offense, you look at it carefully, they're averaging almost 7 plays per drive. The Chargers and the Chiefs lead the league in sustaining drives. And that can be frustrating on your opposing team's offense because they don't get to get on the field. There's limited opportunities. And they have a much more diverse pass offense this year. You know, the Chargers are the only team in the NFL to have 4 different receivers with 40 or more catches and 600 or more yards. That's exciting. I mean, they've added not only Keenan Allen, but this tight end, Oronde Gadsden, he's come in and given him 44 catches for 609 yards. 7 plays down the field, he's caught the ball beyond 20 yards. They haven't had a vertical receiving tight end in Charger land since Antonio Gates. Kellen Winslow. Can you imagine the history of tight ends for this organization? And now they got Gadsden, who's now starting to put his spin on the position. How cool is that? The offensive line hasn't just been an issue, it's been a huge issue. 6 different left tackles, and now Sawyer, the starting left tackle last week, went down against the Cowboys. 4 different right tackles, 4 different right guards. It's really incredible that they've been able to have this kind of success offensively with the amount of changes on the offensive line. This Texan defense, just like the Chargers, they don't blitz very much. The Chargers blitz the least amount at 19%, and this team is not far behind. Just 22% of the time do they blitz. Why would you blitz if you have a pass rush like the Houston Texans? But they do have some big injuries right now at defensive tackle. You got to remember this. The key to a great pass rush sometimes is the push in the pocket. They lost Fadu Kasi in the preseason. They didn't have him for the season. He was a big part of the team last year. They've lost Tim Settle, an outstanding run defender and a pocket pusher, and Mario Edwards, number 97, hell of a rusher inside. Those 3 men are gone. So they are very depleted inside. And their starting linebacker, leading tackler, Al-Shaair, did not play last week. So the middle of this Texan defense is not exactly the same. And over the last couple weeks, being critical, Arizona had over 300 yards. The Raiders, who were the 32nd ranked offense, had 315 yards. And they had plays of 37, 51, and 60 yards. So there are some issues with depth and the inside of this defense that got to be carefully looked at. The Texans play a lot of 4 deep zone. A lot of people call it quarters. 4 deep, 3 underneath with a wicked 4-man pass rush. But when you watch teams try to attack that coverage, you call plays that are designed to beat cover 4. And guess what? Houston doesn't play it. They don't just play cover 4 play after play after play. They can play numerous different coverages with a lot of different disguises. And they have the guys on the outside to just get up in your grill and take you out, man. Lassiter. And I'm talking Stingley and this nickel, Jalen Petrie. This is as good of a secondary from a coverage standpoint as you will see. This is the only team I've seen this year that has 4 different defenders with 4 interceptions. Lassiter at right corner has 4. Bullock at safety's got 4. Petrie in the slot has 4. And don't screw around with number 24, Derek Stingley. He's got 4. So they feel real comfortable about the coverages they can play, and they feel real comfortable about their guys to cover yours, let me tell you. Let's take a look at the matchups. The offensive line for the Chargers. When you look at the left tackle position, it was Sawyer. That was the backup left tackle. Now I think the left tackle is going to be Austin Deculus. That's who finished the game last week against the Cowboys, the former LSU Tiger. How would you like to be him coming out of the huddle and seeing Danielle Hunter? Good God, Hunter's got 13 sacks. He's had over 13 sacks now 4 different times in his career. Remember, he was a hell of a rusher for the Vikings. And Hunter has got to be excited about this opportunity. And over here on the other side, it's going to be right tackle Bobby Hart. He'll be filling in for Joe Alt. This is the 4th different right tackle the Chargers have had on this side. And he's going to have to go up against Will Anderson, who has 43 pressures and 11.5 sacks. Will Anderson has as good a power rush as there is in football. He has the speed to get by you. They'll use some stunts. But I tell you, the Twin Towers, you remember Akeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson? Of course you do. The Twin Towers. These are the Twin Terrors, man. I love these two guys. And there's another pass rusher, number 95, Derek Barnett, former first-round pick of the Philadelphia Eagles, a Tennessee Volunteer. He had a great sack against the Raiders last week on a power rush. I thought it was Will Anderson, but it was him. It was number 95, Barnett. 3 really good edge rushers. And don't go to sleep on 92, Dylan Horton, either. So they have some depth to keep these 2 great pass rushers fresh. And these 2 edge rushers, I love the fact that their best stuff comes in the fourth quarter. When they get a lead, ask Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. When you get a lead and you call on your defense to close it out, you can damn sure expect Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter to be a big part of closing you out. The inside guys, well, Sheldon Rankins, number 90. He's going to have to elevate his snaps. The veteran, former Louisville Cardinal, number 90. He's going to have to play a little bit more with the injuries that we discussed. The guy that's really come on is number 72, Tommy Togiai. We talked about him earlier in the season, the ex-Ohio State Buckeye. He was really good coming in as the 3rd rusher or the nickel inside pass rusher. His snap count has gone up, and he's playing solid. But like I said, with all these injuries, that means Rankins and Togiai, their stamina is going to be tested. They did pick up Jones, Naquan Jones, number 91, a former Michigan State Spartan, to get him some depth. You'll see Marlon Davidson, 94 on occasion. But again, just like the Chargers are getting depleted at tackle, the Texans have been depleted on the inside of their defense at that tackle position. It's really exciting to see their first-round pick of the Chargers, Omarion Hampton, back. And I'm sure Hampton is looking at his fellow rookie, Ashton Jeanty, go for 128 yards against Houston. He might be thinking, damn, I could do this. But anyways, Hampton really looks good. He had 85 yards last week, a career high against the Cowboys, a touchdown. He's got over 500 yards rushing. The guy can really catch the football. He's going to be the key, I think, to this Charger operation down the stretch. He's never carried the ball over 20 times in an NFL game, but he carried it 21.4 times a game at North Carolina. I think they got to go back to Hampton and say, hey, the doll's out. We're not going to have Najee Harris. He's out. We got to lean on big number 8. That's why we took you in the first round. And I think he's going to have to do some damage in here. The linebackers for the Texans, we don't know the status of Al-Shaair, number 0. Let's hope he plays. He had 12 tackles, a season high against Arizona 2 weeks ago. Didn't suit up against the Raiders. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play. But if he doesn't, it'll be E.J. Speed, number 45, who usually just plays in their base defense. Speed is a solid player, but he is no Al-Shaair, man. Al-Shaair has instinct, speed, and he has tremendous playmaking. The other linebacker is number 39, Henry To'oTo'o. I love saying that name. You know, To'oTo'o, he got beat on that pass play to Ashton Jeanty. It was an empty backfield set. Jeanty lined up at wide receiver, and To'oTo'o came out here playing man coverage, man. And I tell you, Ashton Jeanty put a single move on him and took off, and it was a perfect pass by Geno Smith. Henry's got to tackle better. He missed a couple tackles last week, and if you look at Pro Football Focus, he's missed 19 tackles this year. A lot of them are because he's so aggressive shooting his gun, he'll force it back inside to his help. He's an athletic, very instinctive, hard-nosed football player, but he did give up the bomb last week, and he's been suspect in terms of clean tackles this year. Let's hope Al-Shaair plays in this game because he gives the Texans that alpha presence experienced dog in the middle of their defense. He plays like a D'Amico Ryans used to play. You know, when the Chargers play, they're going to use a lot of two-back sets. Sometimes you'll see Scott Matlock, number 44. He looks like a 290-pound red-beard fullback. I love it. He's a little bit like the Ravens when they use Patrick Ricard, but it gives them a big fullback that can kick out the edge. He can cross sift. He can isolation block. He can pull on counters. Matlock has gotten better and better and better, and they use him very creatively in this two-back offense. So this Greg Roman running game, which a lot of people have a lot of respect for, will challenge the Texans, especially if Al-Shaair is not playing, and the lack of depth they have at defensive tackle. The receivers on the outside for the Chargers, I'm excited to see what Quentin Johnston does. You know, last year he got criticized. He didn't have one catch against the Houston Texans. And a lot of that had to do with Lassiter and Derek Stingley. And a lot of it has to do with Quentin Johnston. He's got to do a better job in these big moments against the great corners to help Justin Herbert win this football game. But he's done a nice job, 46 catches, 637 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He has speed. He has that 50-50 playmaking ability on the high ball. And he's got a presence about him where when he's on the field, he demands attention. And that really helps the other receivers of the Chargers. But they got to get him on the stat ledger this week. Let's go, QJ. Let's freaking go. They also have a young receiver, rookie out of Mississippi that is emerging. He's catching my eyes. His name is Trey Harris, number 9. 27 for 288. If you watch him against Kansas City, he gets on top of them for a big touchdown. Trey Harris has a finger injury. Will he play? But definitely Quentin Johnston has got to be a big part of this game. He was hurt a couple weeks ago with the groin. He looked healthy against Dallas. In the slot, it'll be Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey, we all know, had a big game last year, almost 190 yards against the Texans. He's had 45 yards or less in his last 4 games, but McConkey is quick. He could run the short shuttle and you might not see it. 65 catches, 700-plus yards. I think Herbert is very, very comfortable throwing option routes and double moves to McConkey. He's a great route runner. And on the other side, you're going to see one of the great Chargers of all time, Keenan Allen. He needs 2 yards to hit the 12,000-yard mark. You know, you look at Keenan Allen, here's a guy that's going to have over 70 catches 9 times in his career as a Charger. Hell, there's no Charger in the history of this program that's done that. I mean, Lance Allworth, Charlie Joyner, John Jefferson, and Anthony Miller only did it 3 times. So this guy's done it 7 times. One of the truly great Chargers, Keenan Allen, and he's got a hell of a year going for him, over 700 yards receiving. And the matchups on the outside, this is what you pay money to see. If you line up on the left as a Charger, you're going to see Kamari Lassiter, number 4. He's got 16 PBUs, 4 picks. He had a sensational interception last year covering Quentin Johnston on a down-the-field deep shot. Lassiter is a hell of a player. He's overshadowed because he plays next to this guy, Derek Stingley, number 24. Don't throw at him. Last year on a key 4th down, they threw at Stingley. You might want to try somebody else. This guy is really something. He had a pick 6 last week on a short yardage play. Geno Smith made a bad throw. If you make a bad throw, he'll make you pay. I really think Stingley could flip over and be one of the best receivers in the league. He has incredible ball skills. He can be in bump and run coverage and flip his eyes at the last second, find the ball and catch it. That damn Stingley, I'm glad I don't have to play against him. He is really something. Stingley will be on the offensive right most of the time. Lassiter's on the left. You think I'm getting excited about these guys, Jake? Yep. I haven't even talked about my favorite guy, Jalen Petrie. You talk about an impact player. He's given up a 50.4 QBR. He's got 4 picks. Good God, I love his playing style. He plays like Troy Polamalu. He plays like a corner, a safety, and a linebacker all in one. I think Petrie is the secret weapon that they use differently every week. His playing style, I think, gets everybody going, man. He is really an exciting player to watch. So, you got 3 excellent corners. I think all 3 should be in the Pro Bowl this year. And don't look past Kalen Bullock, their young safety. Bullock wears number 2. He's got 4 interceptions. When Bullock plays down in the box and they put Miles Bryant back in the post, those are some areas I think the Chargers want to take a look at. Last week, Ashton Jenney had a run. He came out of the trash, and Bryant couldn't find him. He couldn't catch Genty. It was a big play. On the long pass play to Genty on the outside, Bryant lacked the lateral range to make a play on that ball. He's an inexperienced safety. They have to somehow find ways to manipulate him in the passing game. Perhaps get the ball to Gadsden down the pipe. Let's get Hampton on some routes against Toho out of the backfield. Those are some areas I think the Chargers are going to really look at in this game. Rondé Gadsden is another guy that should be on the all-rookie team. What a find by the Charger organization. You know, last year Will Dissly was the leading receiver at tight end for the Chargers. Now they have a guy that can really stretch the field. They can isolate him in speed trips, and he can mismatch some safeties. Gadsden and Hampton in the passing game against the underneath coverage of this Houston Texan team is going to be critical, and we got to get Quentin Johnston going. But good luck, Quentin, because you're going up against the very best you will see all year. The number one thing that the Houston Texan defense has to do is control the pocket against Justin Herbert. He scrambled for over 400 yards. And when he scrambles, he's dangerous as a runner or passer. The other thing is we got to stay on top because this Herbert magic will come. 2 weeks ago against the Chargers, they had Gadsden on a shallow. Here comes McConkey on a deep cross, a sprayed dig by Keenan Allen. The back's on a wheel route. Hell, Herbert just sees Trey Harris bump and run. He throws a perfect pass for a touchdown, and the defensive end hits him right as he releases the ball. Herbert magic, baby. Then against the Cowboys last week, they motioned McConkey across the formation to create a bunch formation. They put Gadsden over the ball. It's a simple X-shallow cross to Trey Harris. They send a receiver down the seam, Keenan Allen, and here comes McConkey flying down the red line. It's another perfect pass. Vertical shot right on the screws for a touchdown. Hard to defend that. And then later in the game, they go up here in an empty set. They got Gadsden in here working over the ball. They throw Trey Harris. They throw Keenan Allen passes down the seam. And here comes Quentin Johnston against press coverage. Another red line fade ball that just drops in out of the sky perfectly. Perhaps the best deep ball passer in football right now, Justin Herbert. And they're going to need one of those from somebody. But they got to beat Lassiter, Petrie, and they got to beat Stingley. I can't wait to see this. Okay, you got to pick somebody. This is going to be a defensive struggle if you ask me. Both of these quarterbacks are going to have to earn every first down. I'm going to take the home team, the LA Chargers, and it's going to come down to these field goal kickers. Chargers 19, Texans 16.